Board of Adjustment. The board was created by the city charter to hear applications for variances from zoning ordinance requirements and to hear and render decisions on interpretations of the requirements of the zoning ordinance. The board consists of 5 voting members. It requires 4 affirmative votes for approval of any variance or interpretation. Let's see, all cases on the agenda will be heard in the order listed. The order of proceeding for each case shall be as follows. The city staff will make a brief presentation outlining the application. The applicant shall be present or shall present their case. Persons in favor of the variance shall present their evidence. Persons opposed to the variance shall present their evidence. The applicant shall be given a rebuttal period. The public hearing will be closed and no further testimony will be accepted. The normal procedure is that the board will discuss and take action on the application. All meetings of the board are open to the public. Anyone in the audience who thinks that for any reason they will speak before the board tonight, please stand and take the oath. Okay. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth in all matters pertaining to the cases before the Board of Adjustment? Please say, I do. I do. Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, the roll call. Let's see. We have Jack Lehman tonight. Here. Sarah Wimberly.
Here.
Robert Jones. Here. John Davies. Here. I'm Tim Watkins, and I'm here as well. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe that I see the applicant for the first case. Ginger Barnes is not here yet. Can we just proceed on to the
second case,
which is Jacob Hasty?
Sure. Okay. Let's see. Case number 21-999-15. It's a reconsideration of a variance for James Hasty to the residential fencing standards for 2702 South Windsor Avenue.
Okay, this is an application, a reconsideration of a case that was done a couple months ago at the meeting. Are you Miss Barnes?
Yes.
Okay, if you can hang on, we'll get back to your case in just a minute.
Okay.
This was a reconsideration of a case of an application by Jacob Hasty for a fence that was in the required front yard. The board considered this case a couple of months ago and it denied it. And then at the last meeting, the September meeting, the board voted to reconsider it at this meeting. Staff did send out new notices to property owners within 185 feet. The ad was placed in the public notice and put in the newspaper. Since then, Mr. Hasty has modified the fence somewhat, as you can see from the slides here in just a minute. Previously, the application was that he had placed a solid privacy 6-foot fence in the front, in a portion of the front yard, and that's what the board voted down. Since then, he has lowered part of the fence to 50 inches, roughly, from a little bit more than 50 inches in some places and 50 inches in others. So it's probably better to just see this and for me to try to explain it. Okay, this is the location of the property. It's at the, I guess this would be the southwest corner of Windsor and 27th Street. It's east of Chrysler Avenue. This is shows the surrounding zonings of all the property in the area. As you can imagine, everything here is on single family. He's on the corner lot there where the red circle is. This is the aerial photograph of the property that was taken before the fence was put up. Okay, and this is the site plan that shows the portion of the fence that was installed. The red line close to the driveway and then on to the north is the area that needs the variance. It's over 30 inches in height and also is opaque. Okay, this is the a photograph from before 2 months ago. So you can see the 6-foot fence around the front portion of the lawn, just north of the driveway. This is another one that again shows the fence previously. This is the fence. He has cut this down to roughly 50 inches in height. As you can see from you can now see the playground equipment in the background that you were not able to see before. It's in the same places. It's not been moved, just lowered. Again, this is the side. This is the view from the corner. You can see it was when it was 6 feet in height, and then again it was lowered to 50 inches approximately. And then another one where this is the side looking south into the property at 6 feet, and then where it's lowered, and then when you reach the point where the house, it's even with the house, which is just south of there, as you can see, the fence goes back up to 6 feet in height, which is permittable. 6 feet, even with the house behind it, is permissible on the side property line, street side property line. And this is a shot down 27th Street looking west. And that's another one when the fence was at 6 feet. Kind of shows a little bit of the neighborhood. Oops. These are houses that were around the site. This one is the one that's immediately to the to the west of his property. You can see the fence there at 6 feet. And then these are houses to the north across 27th Street. And then the house directly to the east and further to the east, or southeast, I guess this would be. So really the variance remains the same. The fence is still opaque in the front yard, and it is still over 36 inches in height. It is modified, as you can see from the slides, but the variances remain the same.
Okay. Can we have Mr. Hasty up at the podium, please? Tell us your name and your address.
Jacob Hasty. Can I take this?
Yeah, take that up, please.
Yeah.
Jacob Hasty, 2702 Windsor Avenue. Want to tell you what I going to speak? Okay. The fence was initially put up by a contractor who had done some work that I initially told some of you before that he'd done. He'd pulled the permits and the codes and told me everything was good to go. That's the reason the fence was up originally at the 6-foot length and very out of code apparently, as I've learned. Since then, I know you guys, I didn't have a gate or anything up, so I wanted to at least finish what was still left. So I finished it, and I was thinking of a good compromise where I was thinking I could still lower it where you could see around the corner, because I know visibility was the biggest issue in that intersection. And so I figured, I still feel like 36 inches is really hard for safety when you're talking about kids and like the 100 predators that are like registered around the like 2-mile radius around me. I believe like 50 inches still makes it a little harder for people to be able to reach over and get over it, but it still gives you the visibility that you would need to be able to see that corner. Going around the areas, I've seen other fences like on 39th and Chrysler that are fully invisible or fully, I don't know if it actually went in front of the house, so I can't say that, but I'm in a pretty busy, in my opinion, area in that corner there, and with my house in the back corner, I don't have any actual backyard or side yard right there, so that portion of my house, my yard is the only portion of it that can be utilized for my children to play in. I just feel like the intersection's still really quite busy to where having it fully invisible or fully, I guess is opaque, I guess is the word, helps the safety of my children as well as kind of boosts the safety in that little intersection and helps people try to slow down a little bit more when they're going around the corners. Like I had shown previously, all of my neighbors are fully on board with the idea. They have agreed that it also has boosted the safety as well as for the traffic as well as the neighborhood itself. That really hasn't changed even when I've lowered it from the 6 foot like I was initially asking for. I guess now I'm just hoping that what I have done is a decent enough compromise for you guys today to reconsider.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Did we have any calls to the city?
No calls on this application.
Okay. We didn't have any calls last time, did we? on this
No, not that
particular
I
case?
remember.
Okay. Any questions, John, for the applicant? Is it on?
Right. Can you hear me now? There was a brick house on one of those slides you showed us that I don't see here in the packet. That looked like a house that was near to the fence. That one right there.
In that area, the fence is not going to be changed.
Right, okay, so, Mr. Hasty, you don't think that the neighbors back there care whether you build a fence or not?
I have actually, he rents it out. I've talked to the renter, which he's really hard to get hold of.
Right,
And he did not show any disapproval of it at all, no.
okay, thank you.
Any questions, sir?
Mr. Hasty, did you all talk to all the people within that area that needed to be talked to as far as the strip? You know what I mean? What is it, 180 some feet, 185?
That's right, we mailed out letters, city
And there
staff
was
mailed
no-
out letters for this
And there
case.
was no, nobody here that protested or anything like that, right?
No, actually, a few of my neighbors came up to me and even said, hey, I got another letter. Is this going back up again? And we talked about it. They were still very on board for
Okay.
keeping it. They just, they told me they got the letter. We've spoken about it.
Okay.
Well, I have a quick question for you. I mean, I'm glad what you did as far as lowering the height. Would it be an issue for you? Or do you think it would work as well if you took every other picket out, made a space picket? You would be at the 50% transparency. Am I correct on that?
Sounds like it, yes.
Okay. On the lower part that's actually in front of the house, where it's supposed to really be 50% transparent. And then the only variance he would require would be height. Am I correct on that?
That's right.
Okay.
I'm not opposed. The only reason I didn't do it already was just because I feel like those spacings allow people to see through or get over it a lot easier. And
No,
I'm just-
I understand.
Yeah, that's
I'm appreciative of what you've done. It shows that you're really trying to do something to make it a little more feasible. But the reason I say this is because the rule, one of the variances, you've got two variances now that you're requesting, the height and the fact that you have a solid fence. If you were to take one out, are the pickets what they call a 1x6? They're actually like a 5.5, but
yeah.
okay. So you'd still have, it would give you a 5.5-inch gap between every other picket. You see what I'm saying? It would be a spaced picket fence essentially. But then you'd only have a height issue. Well, that would also help clear up. I don't know that there is a sight issue at 50 inches if you're in a vehicle looking around the corner, okay?
Yeah, we would still need to get with the traffic engineer
Right.
to look at this, from this angle, looking at this fence. I wouldn't think it would be a visual hazard situation, sight triangle issue, but we'd want to verify that.
But it would also help in that situation with
That's correct.
spacing between the pickets as far as the visibility issue.
Yeah, the city code says such fence shall be at least 50% transparent and may include chain link, picket, wrought iron, and so forth.
Right. And then the only issue that we would have to deal with would be the height, which, you know, I agree with you as far as the height at 50 inches, you know, as far as what your concerns are. You know, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me as far as, you know, you wanting it that height. It still gives you some security. Nobody's gonna be able to walk and just reach over real quick and easy, you know, at the 50-inch height as opposed to what is required at 36. You know, I mean, because that's waist height for the average person. So, would that be something that you would be opposed to doing? I mean, you know, I know why you didn't do it right off the bat, because why do more than you have to if you could get it approved at this one? But it would help alleviate some of the issues as far as, you know, what the requirements for a fence in front of a primary structure or house are, okay?
I'm not opposed at all. It's more just the fear of it, like visually, how it would look going from that 6-foot privacy, then transitioning down to the picket or 50% opaque, mixed with when I do have to take down every other picket, how it will affect what's there.
Right.
How it might rip up the 2x4s behind it, or it might end up just affecting what I already have there to where I'll have to actually redo a lot more than.
Well, and as far as
That's my only fear for it.
the fence itself, you know, if it's nailed, if the pickets are nailed on, you know, you can take like a 2x set behind and pop it loose, and that would take it off. And I built many fences in my day, so
Yeah.
you know, or if it's screwed on, that makes it even easier.
Yeah, I
You
wish they
just
were screwed.
use a screw gun and reverse them all and take them off, and it should not create any real damage to your rails, which would be your 2x4s.
The guy that had done the fence for me wrong, he did that front wall and he used these nails that were like extremely wide.
Yeah,
And when I've tried to pop them out just on the little section I had, because I was going to use it as like a gardening section that I cut off the top, when I tried to do it, it was just ripping pieces of the 2x4 up. Because I don't know why I used like these massive heads, but they were like a 1/4 inch, or maybe even a little bit bigger heads.
yeah.
The ones I ended up finishing it with were very small to where I could have easily just popped them right off. But I'm afraid, like I said, I'm very afraid that if I do go the 50%, I'll end up having to replace major sections.
Okay. What do you guys think?
I just, the 36-inch height right now is, from what you're saying, you wouldn't feel secure with your kids out there. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Correct.
That's why you did the little over 4 foot.
Right. I mean, you can still see over it. My girl is 5'2", and she can still have her full head over it to where she can see over it. So it's still, like I thought, in a car at all, you can still see. It's just you can't climb it when you're talking like this versus right here. I mean, this is a lot easier to get over. So.
Well, I could see why that could be an issue, and I don't know what other homes around there even have homes, I mean, where they have fences that are primarily in your side yard and in the front. You don't really have much on the other side where you only have, 8 feet between you and the property line, so it's.
My girl can quite literally be from where my fence is in my backyard, which is my property line, and the front of my actual backyard can actually like pretty much touch the two with her arm span.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But I think that's the only two issues that we're looking at here, isn't it, Chairman?
No, no, that would still be considered you're talking about a shadow box or a board on board.
Well, yeah,
And yes, that would be still considered privacy fence. City would still consider that a privacy fence, am I correct?
Yeah, you can't see through it, so. I mean, it does let air go through it, but.
Right, but it really doesn't give you any,
Visual
right,
through it, no.
yeah. So what do you folks think? I mean, have you got any other questions for him? Suggestions to try to help?
I'd like to say that I have a neighbor behind me that has the shadow fence between us, and he's got a pool. And that is a very attractive fence as far as I'm concerned. And I don't have any qualms at all with saying, you know, that's the thing to do. But the shadow fence this is not what we're saying, is it?
Well, it would still be considered a privacy fence or a solid fence.
Yes.
It wouldn't be 50% transparent, which is,
That's what
you know, I mean, it's,
Still have to take the pickets out too.
Would the
on that
policy
one.
be the same if one of his children had a disability?
yeah.
It would still, like you had to be afraid of a blind child or a child that was hearing impaired.
Yeah.
But 3 feet wouldn't keep any active
No,
anybody
no,
inside.
no, I
I can
agree.
see where the 50-inch would be, to me, would be better for you as far as your comfort zone, I guess we call it, or security, because I just don't see where a little over a foot difference, we're looking at 36 versus be 14 inches, right, roughly, where that would make that much difference. I really don't see it, what you've done. I mean, that's my feeling on the 50-inch.
You don't see it being an issue.
No, I really don't.
Okay. Now, the worst part about this whole situation is he has no backyard.
Right.
The way the house is placed on the lot is where it's creating a problem for him as far as a play area for his children.
And that was not his creation, was it?
No, it
No,
wasn't. No, he bought that.
I'm sure that house was built long before he was born.
Yeah, 1930, yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, that's,
Well, you have a lot of children in your area too, correct?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, probably stand series and they go where everybody feels good with them being, or they find their own place, so.
Oddly enough, the fence and the privacy of it has kind of secluded our neighborhood, and that's why my neighbors are really kind of on board. Is they even say it's kind of made them feel, although more like secluded with us, like we're more of a tight knit group in a sense, and it's kind of it doesn't block anything off, but visually it blocks off being able to see all the way down to where they kids can be out playing, where they don't feel like it's worried about it, I guess.
I remember the last time you were, was it in September? That you talked about that road there that runs, I guess it's Windsor and I guess 27th Street Terrace, I mean, West 27th Street South, I guess, is sometimes a drag strip. Is that, you were talking about where kids drive up and down there way above 25 miles an hour.
And turn around the corner fast and
Actually running side by side, using it as a drag strip. Well, I could see where that'd be a problem for you and your kids. If you had, I mean, you were talking about that the last meeting.
Yeah.
I
Hasn't
mean, the
happened
last
since,
time you
so
were
it's
here.
It's been a long time since because I've had that up since maybe sadly like March or April. So it's been a long time since that's happened. But yeah, it was a concern for sure.
Okay. Well, how do you board members feel about this as far as what I suggested as far as taking off every other picket, and that way you have the semi-transparent part of the issue dealt with?
I agree with that. I think that's a good idea, really.
I mean,
I think that would be a
what do you
compromise.
think, John?
Is the fence, straight across and topping out where you go down?
I mean, I could sand it down to make it a little more level because I did it with a skill saw, and then sanded some pieces down. But yeah, it is, yeah.
Well, I'm for letting him go ahead and do the, picket fence there.
Okay,
I also am in favor of giving him the variance for the height too.
okay.
As a director of transportation, in the school district, and knowing that neighborhood fairly
it's a good idea from what you said earlier about separation. You still have the 50%. So I think it's a good idea what you proposed.
Okay.
Tim.
Well, then, thank you. You can sit down. And is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance? Not seeing anybody. We have anybody online tonight?
Not for this case.
Okay. Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? No? Okay. Well, then I guess we'll close the public hearing and we'll have a discussion and figure out what we need to do on this.
Chairman Tim, I think that what you said was a good idea, and I think it gives him a little bit of where he doesn't have to lower the fence even more, another foot, almost over a foot.
All right.
And I think that, to me, makes sense. I'm for that.
Okay.
To
Do you-
say his situation is unique, I think is an understatement.
Yes.
It is a little bit different, isn't it? Okay, well then, if we need it, I need somebody to put forward a motion, and it has to involve the.
Yeah, with the condition that every other picket be
Right,
removed.
exactly, that's what I was gonna get to.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve with the conditions that we had, that you proposed and what he has to change.
Okay.
Every other picket.
Every other picket needs to be removed, and then we're at the 50% transparency.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. And then we also need to approve the height. So
The part of my.
at the current height,
At the
it
current
is right
height,
now,
yes.
50 inches, or approximately 50 inches. I guess it would vary from,
I will second it also.
okay.
Yes.
Well, since I have a motion and a second, we'll take it to a vote. Okay, Jack Lehman,
I vote yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
Yes.
John Davies.
Yes.
I'm Tim Watkins, and I vote yes as well. Good luck to you, young man. It's been approved.
That's good. I think that's good. Okay.
Okay. Now I guess we can go to the 21-999-16, Ginger Barnes, 3930 South Chrysler Avenue.
Yes, Ginger Barnes seeks a variance pertaining to the recreational vehicle parking standards for her property at 3930 South Chrysler. Variances are required for the storage of a recreational vehicle, a travel trailer, on the unpaved surface, which will not be 7 feet from the north property line, and it will extend slightly into the street side yard along South Chrysler. This vicinity map shows the location. It's at the northwest corner of South Chrysler and 40th Street, East 40th Street. Again, this is the zoning for the site and the surrounding area. Basically, everything that's west of Chrysler is owned single family in this area, and everything east of Chrysler is owned some level of multifamily, whether it be R18 or R30. This is the overhead view. As you can see the house there, it's sitting on the sort of the north side of the lot. There's a large swimming pool that consumes most of the property west of the house. The place where the RV will be stored is actually under that tree and not really very visible in this aerial photograph. And then again, Chrysler's on the right and 40th Street is on the south of the slide. And this is more of a close-up that shows, minus the trees, where the general area where the RV will be parked or stored. Okay, this is the front of the house as it faces Chrysler. The applicant's garage or driveway is on the left side. This is the, we're standing basically right on the edge of Chrysler, looking to the northwest slightly. That is the backyard. There's a little shed back there that will be removed, and then the RV parked, and then the shed put back. It's not attached to the ground in any fashion, if I can tell. You can also see somewhat of a gravel driveway that comes from across the sidewalk and then down toward where that shed is now. This is a little closer view. Again, shows the shed that will be temporarily relocated and then put back, and the kind of the general area where the RV will be going. It's a fairly long RV, 30 feet in width and length, I'm sorry. And the neighbor's property, I can't exactly tell where the property line is, but it's just right there on the edge of those trees on the right. This shows, again, the location a little bit better, the view where they have a addition onto the back of the house. The RV will go on this side, and here's that little shed that will be moved. And that's the neighbor's garage, the neighbor's to the north. And the property line is probably halfway between the applicant's addition there and that little garage, that tan garage that's off to the right. This is the looking west across Chrysler. Again, there's a little tan building, or the little gray-blue building there, that accessory building that will be moved and then replaced. There's the applicant's, the neighbor's driveway, which goes back to a garage, which is not very visible in this. And then the house is to the right of the car. These are apartments that are across the street on the east side of Chrysler here. And let me go back to the first part of this. You can see from this aerial where the neighbor's house is, and that tree area that is right, that sticks out close to where that little driveway approach is where the neighbor's driveway is. So you can see the distance between where the RV will be parked and then the neighbors to the north. So this would be for parking, basically parking an RV too close to the north property line, which is the rear property line, and then also would project somewhat into the street side property line. And that's, as far as projecting into the street side, that's because it's not on a paved surface. If it were on a paved surface, that would not be an issue, and the applicant is here to make a presentation.
Okay. Can we have the applicant, please? Were you here when we gave the oath? No? Okay. Come to the podium and I'll give you the oath, and then,
Okay.
okay. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth in all matters pertaining to the case before the Board of Adjustments? Please say I do.
I do.
Okay. And then please tell us your name and your address.
My name's Ginger Barnes. I'm at 3930 South Chrysler Avenue, Independence, Missouri. Maybe Chrysler, I don't know. I've only lived here like 10 years and I still can't get the name right.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one, so
Okay,
don't feel
Chrysler,
bad.
okay. And when I say one, they correct me, and when I say the other one, they correct me again, so I'm like, I give up. So Chrysler, now I know for sure.
Okay. Can you tell us why you're wanting this?
Well, my house was built in 1900, so I don't have any closets. And my basement is a very old basement, and so I don't have anywhere to put my clothes. So I really want it as a storage for my clothes. So I'm going to use the RV to store my clothes because I can't afford an addition right now. And so until I can afford an addition, then that's my temporary solution.
Okay. Any questions for this lady?
I don't have any, really. I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Any questions? John, any questions? No? Okay. Okay. Well, you can go ahead and sit down right there. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance? Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? We have any calls on this one?
No, we did not.
Okay. Anybody online wanting to chime in on this one?
Hang on just a minute here, I'll verify, but I don't believe either one of these people that are online are associated with this case. Sarah Knight, are you here for this case?
No.
Okay. And I know that Curtis Neal is not, so we don't have anybody here for this case.
Okay. Well, then I guess we can close the public hearing and have a discussion on this.
The only variance we're requiring there is the rear property line, is that correct?
Is that correct?
I didn't hear the question.
The only variances we're considering is the distance from the rear property line.
And the trailer, a portion of the trailer will be in the street side yard, and the trailer will not be on a paved surface. Anything that's on the street side yard is supposed to be on a paved surface. So it's not really much of a variance, but it is a slight variance on that issue.
And this is a temporary situation.
I was just looking at the comments by the staff, and they have all, there's 6 of the criteria there that you're supposed to meet, and you've met 5 of the 6, and the other one is yes and no. It has to do with the
That'd make it 5.5.
5.5. There you go. If you round it off, it'd be 6, right? But it's also, it says, will require strict compliance with the zoning regulation constitute a practical difficulty for the subject property owner, and it says yes and no. Although house and swimming pool create difficulties, providing a paved surface would eliminate the need for the application. And right now, I guess what you're saying is you can't afford anything right now as far as a permanent surface. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Well, that's, and all the rest are yeses, so I don't see that as a big problem myself.
Anybody else?
No, I think we ought to approve it.
Okay.
I move we approve this application
As presented?
as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Take it to a vote. Jack Lehman,
I vote yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
Yes.
John Davies,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. It's approved.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
next one. 21-999-18. It's Martin Omar Conyo Perez, is that correct? Okay. It's 3215 South Hardy Avenue.
Sorry about that, I had to get this set up and on the right slide. Okay, case 2199, 3215 South Hardy Avenue. This is, as you can see from the vicinity map, okay, yeah, no. Well, it's just a little bit to the south of that, the Newcastle School there at 31st and Hardy Avenue, just a couple blocks northeast of Blue Ridge Boulevard in the area of Shealy Road. Oh. There we go. So as you can see, this is a area zoned R6, single-family residential, for blocks and blocks, so. This is the property. It's actually two lots. The house sits on both of those lots, owned by the applicant, as you can see. It was built about 5 years ago, and it's sort of, it was an interior lot that is in the middle of a block, basically. So this is sort of a squished look, but you're looking west, and basically it's showing that there's a self-closing gate and a fence that's up at the front of the property, and then the driveway extends back to the house to the east. And as you look at the picture here, you can see how it was built to fit with the fences that were already there, that are actually the rear yard fences of his neighbor, but come out to the street on either side. Okay. So the code section 14402B states front and street side yards, except for fencing around bona fide agricultural activities. No fence or wall located in the front yard of a residence or along a street side in front of a residence shall exceed 3 feet in height. This fence, of course, exceeds that and is the reason for the variance. Based upon a complaint of the city's code compliance division, they investigated the installation of a fence along the frontage there on Hardy Avenue. The inspection revealed that the 6-foot black wrought iron fence had been built in this front yard setback and extends north to south along the right-of-way from the northwest corner of the property to the southwest corner of the property line. The applicant's lot is flanked on its northern and southern lines by neighbors that have 6-foot fences. The applicant's fence and gate along the western property being similar in height to the fences of adjacent properties completes a perimeter and secures this deep property with its house that sits roughly 450 feet back from the street. Okay, so therefore the applicant requests to keep the wrought iron fence constructed adjacent to this exterior lot line. In short, he wants a variance to erect a 6-foot fence across the front yard along the street. So we'll look at the area around the entrance of his property. So this is a little bit closer look. You can see the fence and his deep driveway there going back to his house. This is southbound on Hardy. And this is northbound on Hardy looking back toward 31st Street in the new elementary school. And this is immediately across the street on the northwest. And then more toward the southwest, the T intersection with his driveway. And ready to take any questions you have.
So he's going to, Brian, construct a fence similar to what I'm looking at?
No, that is the fence. Yeah, there was a code violation for him having put up the fence. In violation of code. And
That's it, right?
And that's the fence he's wanting permission to keep.
Is that an electric gate that I'm looking at?
Well, it's described as a self-closing gate, so I assume it probably is.
Goes across this driveway here.
Yeah.
Heard anything from the neighbors?
No, I have not gotten any calls.
Okay. Well, let's have the applicant. Please come to the podium and state your name and your address. And
My name is Martin. Oh. Push. Oh. Martin Perez, and I live in 3215 South Hardy. The reason that we like to keep the gate is because it's a far driveway, and a lot of people have drive inside and stay there for a while and then leave. And like we work and we leave earlier, we don't have no problem giving you guys the code. I think the city, the city, where you guys sometimes go and check the water thing, they have the code, and we don't have no problem giving you guys the code. And when we bought the house, the gate was there. It was there already. So, yeah, we would like to keep the
Okay.
gate.
don't they generally require like an Opticon on those gates?
Well, I'm not sure,
Emergency vehicle
if the-
comes, the light will flash and then make it.
yeah, or the siren will make some sound that'll come open.
Right.
I'm not sure if that's been done here or not. I know on commercial properties, yeah, they want, or subdivisions, something like that, they do require that.
Okay. Any questions for this gentleman?
Well, looking through, once again, the criteria and everything is, yes, this is true, so I don't see anything that says no at all. So it looks like to me it's use the word slam dunk, is that word?
Very attractive, yes.
Very, yes, very. So I don't see any problem here, I mean, myself.
No complaints.
Anyone else? Yeah, no
Oh, yeah,
complaints
that
on
is
that.
pretty, isn't it?
Any complaint? No. Yeah, I said I didn't get any phone calls, so.
Okay.
Yes, it is attractive, isn't it?
Okay, well, not hearing any more questions for the gentleman. You can go ahead and have a seat. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance request? Is there anybody online for this one? This particular case?
No, not for this particular
Okay.
case I'm aware of.
Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Having seen no one, I guess we can close the public hearing and have a discussion. I don't see any reason that this shouldn't be.
I think it's a very attractive fence. Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that we approve this particular case 21-999-18.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, Bob. All right. Jack Lehman,
Yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
Yes.
John Davies.
Yes.
I vote yes as well. It's been approved.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fence night. 21-999-19. Curtis Neal. 13201 East Kemper Court.
Yeah, this is an application by Curtis Neal to retain a fence, 4-foot chain link fence that he erected in his front yard at 13201 East Kemper Court. It's, as you can see from the aerial there, the location map, vicinity map, it's at the southeast corner of McCoy and East Kemper Court. This is the zoning map. As you can see, this entire area here is zoned R6, single-family residential. You go further to the west, some of that property is actually in Sugar Creek. That's why there's no zoning on it, it's just white. This is the aerial photograph of the site. As you can see, this house faces north, which is Kemper Court. North McCoy Street is on the left, which is the west. See the house faces north, the backyard is behind the house. This is his drawing that he turned in that shows basically the location of the fence. There's a sidewalk that goes north onto East Kemper Court. The McCoy is on the left. Basically, this fence includes basically the front part of the front yard between the house and the property line. Here we can see it a little bit better. This dashed line shows the location of the fence. It starts at the northeast corner of the house, then goes north basically to the property line, and then west, and then back south, and then a little bit back to the east again. It connects up to the side of the house. There's some kind of decoration there on the side of the house. This is the location. We're looking somewhat southwest here. Again, that's his house, and you can see where the fence is located. He has a couple of, I'm not sure what those are called. Those little brick things come off the side of the front of the house. It's connected up to one. It comes basically right up to the property line, or roughly where the property line is, east, and then goes west to the other corner. You can see where it stops. And then there it goes south, basically to the front edge of the house, and then turns and goes back in towards the house. This shows the side of the house and the part of the front yard as well. This is the part of the house, the side of the house that faces McCoy. You can see this is his backyard with the driveway that comes into garage doors, which are under the house. You can see a little bit of the backyard from here. There's a couple pictures of the backyard. As you can see how it appears. And then we'll do some photos of houses. There's another picture of the backyard from a further distance. This is the house that's immediately to the east of his property. So his house is just on the right side of this photo. And then there's a few houses that are on the north side of the street here. This is, I think, to the south, to the northeast a little bit. And then this is to the northwest, or just directly across from his site. This is a house that's on the north side of McCoy here. And another house that's on the, again, the same, basically the same side of McCoy. So the applicant seeks to keep this 4-foot fence in the front yard as shown in these photos. This was a complaint from code compliance that ended up applying for this variance. And the applicant is here to go over this. It's Mr. Neal. Are you there, Mr. Neal?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you want to go ahead and explain your case and make a little presentation and answer questions, please? Were you sworn in earlier, by the way?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth in all matters pertaining to the cases before the Board of Adjustment? Please say I do.
I do.
Okay. You can go ahead.
Oh,
Proceed.
sorry. Well, this is a rental property, so I put the fence up to have I have 3 dogs, and to do the backyard, it was about, the bid I got was like 11 grand to do the backyard, and the front yard was only $4,000 to do the front yard, so I obviously just went ahead and did the front yard. The reason for having it 4 foot is because I have dogs, and at first I didn't know there was a code, so I just went ahead and put the fence up, and then I found out there was a code. I didn't do the back because of the pricing. I didn't want to fence that. It's a rental property, and I didn't want to pay $10,000 to fence in the rental property. That's really all I have. I'm not sure what else.
Any questions for this gentleman?
Is he the renter? Are you the renter?
Yes, sir. I'm just a renter. I paid to put the fence up myself. The landlord didn't help with that. But they're okay with me putting the fence up, obviously. They didn't pay for it.
Any other questions for this gentleman?
Did you say you built this just without any approval? Is that what you're saying, the fence in front?
I guess, sir, I guess. All I did was ask the landlord, and the landlord told me that was fine.
And did you know where all the property lines were at the time, or did you just build it without knowing? I'm just asking.
I looked them up, built them along the property line.
Did you all get any calls on this particular application?
Yes, we actually received 2 calls on this. One that was, it didn't have any problem with it, thought it was fine, didn't have any objection. And then the other call was somebody that was definitely against the fence being there. So 1 on each side of this application.
Can I ask a question? Do you get the feeling that,
Mr. Davies, you're going to have to scoot too close to the microphone there.
did you get the feeling that, or any indication from the one who objected that he was objecting to the dogs out there rather than the fence?
I couldn't tell.
couldn't
She didn't
tell.
really mention the dogs as such. It was more of the fence.
Okay, thank you.
questions on this?
Well, just one for him. Does he know how much it would cost to relocate the fence or diminish the height?
To relocate it and put it.
Yes. Or reduce the height?
I do not know about the height at the moment, but the back is going to be costly.
Yes, I knew what the back was gonna be. I just wondered what, if you happen to have an idea what it might cost you to relocate the fence or reduce the height.
At the moment, I do not.
Okay, thank you.
I can't see what does it say, fence height?
She wouldn't wanna reduce the height for the dogs either.
Trying to keep them from jumping out.
Sir, what is the height of the fence that's built there in front?
The height is 40 inches.
48 inches, you say?
Yes,
4
sir.
foot, okay.
4 foot fence.
Trend.
So.
That's what, about 5 feet?
It's a clear case. Stuart, or I guess this is your case. Is there any other houses around there that have their fences like in the front yard like that?
Well, I drove through the neighborhood yesterday or today, I don't remember which, but not exactly like this. I mean, there was houses not very many houses had fences in the front yard. If they were they were more like along the side of the house down. If there were any in the front yard, they weren't smaller decoration type fences than that.
They
So
weren't
there's-
4 foot high or anything like that?
No. Now, like I said, there are some fences that do meet our standard. They're even with a house and behind it, but not really. I think there was one that had like a 6 foot fence running up the side between the two houses there that wasn't really legal, but I don't know how long it's been there or anything like that. And that was like a block from here or something.
Okay.
Well, any other questions? This gentleman? If you could stand by, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Do we have anybody on this particular case?
No, not for this case. One is for the upcoming case, and the other is Rick Arroyo, who's our assistant director,
Okay,
and the applicant.
all right. Well, before we close the public hearing, are there any other questions? Because we've got a whole bunch of no's on this. Out of these 6 criteria, I think we only have, 2 yeses?
Yes, I see that.
And anything, Jack? Anything, Bob?
Oh, not really right now. Anyway.
Sarah?
No, I don't think so.
John? Any more questions or?
No, I'll save it till we discuss it.
Okay. Well, then I guess we'll close the public hearing and have a discussion on this. We've got, out of the 6 criteria, he only meets 2. And I don't know how you find your way through the other 4. That's just a whole lot.
I agree.
I mean,
It's
it's,
a tough one, but
it's a,
if it's all, well, two-thirds no's, I'm not really, what do you call it? It's a tough one.
Is the fence in the front yard or is it in the side yard?
it's in the front.
Front yard. There's a picture right up there, the front, the brick facade on the front, and then it grows up towards the,
Well, it's hard to pick it out on.
Yeah, I know.
this overhead.
yeah, it is.
Well, you know, despite all those no's there, I still, looking at this picture, I don't see a problem.
It's the same height as the other fences we've approved. Trying to move it out. Another.
And number 6 is, it says it will change the essential character of the neighborhood. I just don't agree with that. I don't think it'll change the essential character of the neighborhood to have a fence in your front yard.
One other question I think I already asked it. Did this particular property, Mr. Neal, have a property line survey when you put up the fence, or did you just eyeball it and put it in?
I just looked it up on Google.
You didn't, no, that was my question, was you did not get a land surveyor to survey the property?
No,
Well, okay. So we're not sure that it's actually on the line, inside your line, or over on the other property? We don't know that, do we?
it's literally along the side of my house. It's connected side of my house, sir. You see the metal things coming off, or the brick things coming off the side of my house on both sides? It lines up right along with that. It couldn't be off my property.
I don't know, I don't really,
See the picture there?
yeah, I see that, but I don't,
It's the wing, it says wing walls.
oh, you
What
mean,
they used to refer to as wing walls, brick
Yeah.
wings that came off
Yeah.
the sides of the house.
right, I know what you're talking about. So they just use that as a line or something? I don't know. To be honest with you, I'm not really hot on this one. I'll be honest. I don't want him to tear it down, but I just don't, I'm just not really, with 4 no's and no surveying done or anything like that, I have a problem with it. I mean, that's my statement, I guess.
Let's try to be on the record with our discussions, which means speaking into the microphone, everybody.
Oh, am I supposed to be in front of the mic, am I? Okay. I'm supposed to shut up, is all I'm supposed to do right now. I'll make sure it's off.
And you did say there was a call for and a call against on this particular case.
That's right. A woman, actually it was 2 women. They were both neighbors. I'm not sure exactly where their location was, but there was one in favor of it, thought it was fine, didn't have any problems with it. And then the other one just didn't think it was a good place for it because there isn't another house in the neighborhood like this, something like along those lines.
Okay.
I've been in subdivisions where, and to be honest with you, I know that it happens, but front yard, to me, take away the character of a lawn, especially if you're in a
Well, it looks like the fence could have been put along from the front of the house back. Now, is that, we were talking about slope of the yard or something like
this photo here shows kind of the slope of the yard. As you can see, the fence on the left side of the screen is going to comes back into the house, and then the slope of the yard, then the driveway, and then it somewhat levels out to the back property line where it goes up slightly.
You gotta turn your mic on and then raise it up so you can, it's on.
Did the owner pay for the fencing and all? I'm trying to find out, because if you rent it, you probably wouldn't
No,
have paid for
the
it.
renter paid for the fencing.
Okay.
Why isn't the owner here?
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sorry, but I think we ought to approve this. I think the objections have, let me get to the case here, there we go. I think the difficulty in relocating the fence is going to be costly. I think the property that has, well, of course, the hardship has not been created by any person presently having interest in the property. That's just no, because it wasn't, we know he did it. And if the variance was granted, it would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. I think that's true. It wouldn't alter the essential character of the neighborhood. So, right now, I'd vote for a motion to approve it.
So that is a motion to approve as requested.
Well, yes, I'll make it. I move we approve case number 21-999-19 for a variance to the residential fencing standards for East 13201 Kemper Court, Independence, Missouri.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All right. Jack Lehman.
No.
Robert Jones.
No.
Sarah Wimberly.
Yes.
John Davies.
Yes.
And I vote no as well. And it would have taken 4 to pass it, so sorry about that.
That's what we're here for.
Okay.
Let me clarify. So we had Wembley and Davies voting yes, and then Lehman, Jones, and Watkins voting no.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay, next case, 21.
So what is, ew.
That's it.
Okay, Mr. Neal, you will have to either lower the height of the fence or relocate it or just remove the fence. Those are your options.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
All right, next case, 21-999-20. Another fence case. Property address is 4408 South Washington Avenue.
Concerned that the owner of the property is
Okay.
represented here.
So here's the vicinity map for the property in question, industrial area, Washington Avenue, between the Nolan Fashion Square and 42nd Terrace. As you can see, the area zone I-1, and I've circled 2 lots. The one to the north is the exit where the existing structure is, and then the lot to the south is the expansion area. You've got half a block away or so, you've got some apartments to the southeast and east, and of course the railroad right-of-way lies to the west. And then industrial and commercial use to the north. And of course, like I said, to the south, a little distant is where the Nolan Fashion Square is. So here's the aerial photograph. Again, you can see the railroad and the other industrial uses surrounding, including property across the street that currently has a similar fence, as you will see momentarily. So this is the proposed expansion part for this hybrid of a storage and parking, serve both purposes. And entrance would be off the existing entrance, as you can see, and the expansion goes to the south of the existing parking lot and then wraps around the south side of the existing building across that property line. So this is the existing situation. So you can see the existing fence. So they're basically wanting to expand the current pattern and similar fencing that they already have and that the neighbor has as well across the road. So what we're looking at is, I have listed here 6 variances. Actually, you need only consider 5 of them. Number 4 is actually irrelevant and should be ignored because there won't be a vacant lot to fence because the construction of the expanded parking lot will necessitate a replatting of the property. Thus, voila, there won't be a vacant lot anymore because it'd be part of the existing lot with the house, with the building. So if you could just eliminate 4 from this request, and it's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 5, and 6. The first one is a request for the first code issue that needs to be dealt with is the barbed wire fencing is prohibited except where it may be used in conjunction with bona fide agricultural activities. They're requesting this because, as you can see from the picture, their existing fence is actually already has 3 strands of barbed wire, as does the fence of the neighbor to the east. The second section of code they're wanting the variance from, location. A fence may be constructed on any side or rear property line, but may not be located on any exterior setback or be closer to any public or private street than the principal building, whichever is greater. The reason why they're asking for a variance for that one, obviously, is the existing pattern is already here. They've got their parking lot is in front, it's fenced in front. So expanding this thing would automatically necessitate it being in front, obviously, of the building line. The third one, lots adjacent to minor arterial and collector streets. This is a collector street. The fences shall consist of either brick, stone, integrally colored decorative concrete masonry units CMU. Exterior stucco, precast, concrete panels, wrought iron, or plastic or wood. None of those are what the existing pattern is, again, on the both sides of the street, which is why they're asking for that. Number 5, screening must be opaque and a minimum of 6 feet in height, and maybe in the form of walls, fences, berms, or a combination with a 100% opaque landscape screen. The applicant will need to argue that, but I think they're going to argue something along the lines of security reasons. And number 6, in industrial and commercial districts, storage of materials, products, or equipment outside of a fully enclosed building must be completely 100% screened from all sides from public view and may not be visible at eye level from abutting properties of any street right-of-way. I think that one's sort of self-explanatory. So we went through the 6 criteria, and without looking at number 4, we did arrive at all the others as being yeses. So, and we'll go through these pictures real quick. So this is looking directly at the property. You can see the existing fence there. And this is looking north up Washington back toward I-70. And then this is the neighbor immediately to the north. And this is the neighbor immediately to the northeast, I guess. And then this is their property, looking at it from another angle again, and another view of the fence. And if I pivot around 180 degrees, this is what I'd be looking at, roughly. And that's the existing fence across the street that, by the way, got a variance. How long ago was it? A few years ago. So this is the lot itself, where the expansion of the parking lot would be. This flat area up here. The south part of the lot falls off rather dramatically, and it has an existed wooded area, some of which would need to be removed. But as part of our site plan process, of course, they'll have to add different plantings and additional plantings anyway. And so that completes that.
Okay. I guess we can hear from the applicant. If you come up and give us your name and your address.
Of explaining the project and what Clifford Power intends to do there with the expansion of their concrete paving there to the south of the building and the fencing. Again, just to reiterate, the fencing is consistent with their current fencing in front of their property, as well as the fencing across the street. Currently, there's over 500 feet of chain link fence with barbed wire in this area. And this proposal would only be adding around 80 feet of additional fence there, and would also be removing their, moving some of their side yard fence closer to the tree line. The improvements there with the fence, as you can see in the staff report, meet all the variance criteria. There are questions that were asked. Also, just to reiterate, security is an important component to Clifford Power Systems here with their operations, with their storage there, similar to across the street, necessitating the need for the barbed wire and also for the visibility there with the fencing material on the property. Also, in addition, we are proposing landscaping on the site. Both the rear and the south side of the property already have heavily vegetated areas with trees, and part of this plan will be to add landscaping then along this fence, along the frontage of the property there along the parking area to help beautify the frontage of that area. So there will be landscape screening provided as well. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for this gentleman?
You all have to do a landscape plan submit to the city along with getting the permit for the parking lot and all
Yes,
that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we have, Mr. Jones, and we've actually already submitted that plan to city staff for their consideration.
So you're going to try to save as much as you can as far as vegetation, but of course some of it's going to have to come out, I guess.
Correct. Some will have to be removed, but that still leaves existing significant vegetation along the south and along the west
Okay,
there.
sounds good.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance request?
I believe there's Sarah Knight. Are you still there?
Yes, Brian Hill spoke on my behalf.
Okay. Then this lady's wishing to speak in favor of, correct, or in opposition to?
In favor of.
Okay. Any questions for this lady? No? Okay, thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to? Or are there more to speak in favor of? Is there anybody else online for anything? No? Okay. All right. Well, so we're basically wanting to build a parking lot. And we're wanting to fence this parking lot with 6-foot chain link with 3 strands of barbed wire on top. Is that, I mean, we're not looking at future structure, we're just looking at parking area or?
Parking slash some storage, from what I understand.
Outside storage, kind of
Outside
like what's
storage.
going on across the road from?
Yeah, similar to what's going on across the road.
Okay. Well,
So we're looking at all the criteria here. You didn't get any calls or anything like that on this particular applicant?
No, we did not.
Okay. The only thing I saw here was most of it was yes, except it was item, what you call number 4. And that was, well, where's item number 4 in their thing here? anyway, it met all the others pretty much except for that, the way I could see it on your comments with the
Are you
city.
talking about number 4?
Yes,
I said, yeah, number 4 really doesn't apply anymore because
oh, it doesn't
they're
now?
going to have to replat. So there's no reason to get a
Okay,
variance
so-
for the vacant lot issue. So number 4 is irrelevant.
Okay. So they're getting it replatted, is what you're saying? Okay, well then, it looks like to me that's pretty much,
Do we want to entertain a motion, Mr. Chairman?
I guess we have to do that.
Any other questions, any discussion that we need to have before?
I just don't see where it's
I mean,
a problem. With item 4 is void now, for all intents and purposes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's all, the rest of it, basically the rest of it is all, except for that item 4, which had to do with the replatting and so on. They're gonna do that. So, to me, it's a given.
Unless somebody else has anything to
No
discuss.
further discussion. Anybody?
I-
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve case number 21999-20 as presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second the motion.
We've got a motion and a second. All right, Jack Lehman,
I vote yes.
Sarah Wimberly,
Yes.
John Davies,
Yes.
Robert Jones,
Yes?
and I vote yes as well. Case approved.
Thank you for coming.
Now,
Well, it's-
did everybody get the opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Yes.
looks like
We have a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, do I have a second?
I guess I'll second it.
Okay,
That sounds
all in
good.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, well,
They've been
I guess
approved.
this meeting's adjourned.